Is it possible to find true love if you're autistic? How about get married, have kids? Welcome back to my channel, Wormies. Today we're going to be answering this question. I'm Hannah and I have ADHD and autism. I make weekly videos on this channel rating the representation of autism, ADHD, and other neurodiversity conditions in the media. So hit that like and subscribe button to join the Neurodiverse Bookworm family and never miss a single recommendation. I consider myself pretty lucky in that I've been in a relationship for over 2 years and I'm engaged and planning to get married later on this year. Looking back over my dating experience, I cringe at some of the things that I've done. Especially before I knew I was autistic. In fact, I believe that getting a diagnosis and getting to know myself, my challenges, my limitations, helped to prepare me for this current relationship. And I look back and see how much I overshared, how much I interrupted people, and I'm sure I made a lot of people really uncomfortable. I know that I also had a hard time distinguishing between genuine love, kindness, and care versus a romantic interest. And in my last relationship, I had a hard time standing up for myself and my needs. My ex didn't respect my boundaries. He was not harmful or abusive per se, but I could not stand up and voice my own needs. I even made an online dating profile once just out of curiosity to see what kind of guys might be on there, and they were all really ugly and seemed like the type that wouldn't be able to find love anywhere else. But before we go any further, let me introduce you to the participants in season 1 of Love on the Spectrum.
Hello.
Hi.
Wow, you look great. I love this.
Shall we get started?
Yes.
Are you looking for love?
Yes, unquestionably so.
I don't want to be single forever, no, because I don't want to feel lonely.
I haven't dated in 33 years.
It's really hard.
To have a lovely lady. Oh my goodness, I'm all for it.
Finding love can be hard for anyone.
Keep looking for that fish in your pond.
You're in competition with all the other young men.
And for some people, it can feel like an impossible dream.
Let's change the topic. Can we change the topic?
You find your Prince Charming, I find my Cinderella. Bam.
This series follows people on the autism spectrum.
I dub thee Sir James.
Through this process, he might find love.
Oh, yeah.
As they navigate the confusing world of relationships
I really like how you hold my hand.
and dating.
Do you want to be my girlfriend?
It's not an easy thing. You might have to kiss a number of frogs before you find your prince, as Danny said.
Unfortunately, it's just so hard to find a boyfriend. You could imagine I have to kiss many frogs to find the right guy.
So be careful which frogs you kiss this Valentine's, because not all of them are going to be princes. Some of them are real frogs, all nasty and slimy, and who would love nothing better than to eat up a poor, vulnerable little worm. Have you ever wondered what it is about us that seems to turn a lot of people off? Why it might be so difficult to keep a relationship and why there's so many misunderstandings? Kaylin mentions this.
Just the body language and the facial expressions that you miss, that, maybe you're talking too much or not talking enough or not showing an interest, and people make assumptions that, oh, they're not interested in me or they don't like me, or, things like that. And so that kind of turns them away from pursuing a relationship with you when you want a relationship with that person, you just don't know how to pursue it the right way.
Kaylin also mentions a number of stereotypical and neurotypical expectations of dating.
I really dislike the awkward silences that that come about just naturally. Trying to find a way to fill them, and always trying to make sure you're, you know, dressed nicely and you've got your hair done, you've got your makeup done, and you're sitting the right way, and you're not making a mess with your food, and you're, you know, making polite conversation, and you're looking at them and you're answering their questions, and you're trying to ask them questions, but you don't know what to ask them because they've already told you all the things that you might want to ask.
If you're watching this, Kaylin, why should you have to do those things? Don't exhaust yourself. The people who are going to love you and that you should care about are the ones who are going to accept you even if you don't do all of those things. I'm not ashamed of my differences, and I'm not going to hide who I am, because if they don't like me for who I am unapologetically, then I don't want to be with them, because I can't squash myself any longer. And as another participant mentioned, it can be draining to be around people and keep up with all of the neurotypical expectations and heavily masking just to fit in. But that's the thing I really like about my current partner, Diego. Even when I'm exhausted from the demands of life and just want to crawl away in my hole and hide and be by myself, Diego doesn't take energy from me. I can be unapologetically who I am, and he treats me with curiosity and kindness, and that in and of itself energizes me and encourages me to be a better version of myself. And I want to be around him and crave his presence when I otherwise would push most people away. Understanding the unspoken social rules and norms surrounding dating does not come easily or automatically to most autistic people. Some of us might need more support in this, and so Love on the Spectrum hired autistic consultant Jennifer Cook to support some of the participants in learning some of these necessary skills.
With all that you want to talk about, we have to make sure that there's room in the air for somebody else's words too. Come on over here with me on the floor. I'll sit over here. Perfect. So I'm gonna roll this to you, but I'm gonna roll a bunch of them. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you like to do? What's your favorite color?
My favorite color
Do you
is...
like dogs?
Yes, my favorite color is
What do you like
pink.
to do tomorrow?
That's a lot of questions.
It is a lot of questions. When somebody asks you a lot of questions like that, it's hard to figure them out and listen to what they're saying, which means I didn't get to know anything about Abby, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try something different. Will you roll the balls back at me?
What's your favorite thing to do?
I like to play with my dog. What's your favorite thing to do?
Work out and swim.
Roll it back to me. Okay, great. What do you...
This is not an attempt to make us appear more normal, neurotypical. No, it's good to learn these skills and how to at least be aware of them. Since most of us are concrete, visual, active learners who need to understand the why and how and have difficulty grasping abstract concepts, we need to have someone explain to us in a concrete, interactive way the give and take of conversational rhythms, because we might not even notice that we're talking over someone. I know for sure that until it was pointed out to me, I thought I was pretty good at talking on the phone, that I didn't interrupt people and talk over them. But once I started to pay attention to it a little bit more, I was surprised at how often I did it, and was glad that someone pointed that out to me. It is necessary to be aware of these things, and just like anyone else, neurotypical or neurodivergent, we can learn new and better ways of communication. And my favorite part about the show was exactly this, that not only was the consultant they employed to coach is herself autistic, but a couple of the participants in the show worked in advocacy and supporting other neurodivergent and disabled youth. For example, Kaylin is an autistic therapist, and Danny, super passionate about animation, loves to teach and wants to employ other autistic people in her animation studio one day. I think it's quite important to have successful autistic role models, since it's hard for us to relate to a lot of more traditional role models. And these autistic people who work in educating and supporting other autistic people can do it from an insider's perspective. They have the experiences, they've learned the tools, and can now share them with the younger generations. And in a way, I think of it kind of as, in my experience of learning languages, that sometimes a very skilled second language speaker may be a better teacher in some instances than a random native speaker off the street who's never had to think about the grammar, the structure, and the whys and the hows of his own language. I also noticed how the series shows some of the small details, like sensory issues. For example, brushing a kiss off the cheek for what I'm assuming issues with light touch. And it shows also accommodations such as labeling the contents of cabinets, or to make it easier when going on a date, Googling the restaurant beforehand and reading the menu and picking a dish or two that you'll keep in your mind until you get to the event, thus preventing some of the on-the-spot anxiety about being forced to choose quickly, because a lot of us need a longer processing time and can get overwhelmed in a new environment with lots of social pressures and lots of choices. I also relate to some of the participants Googling conversation questions and date topics beforehand, because I do that too with my fiance. Sometimes we run out of things to talk about, but we still want to hang out. And because it's kind of hard to just exist in each other's space when you're in a long distance relationship talking over the phone, it's been really helpful getting to know each other and finding questions that maybe we never would have even thought of asking ourselves. I feel that Love on the Spectrum is quite an authentic show, with the director Keanu O'Cleary interacting off camera, breaking that fourth wall with the participants. But I'm only going to rate it a 4, since in my experience working with TV, a lot is scripted. Love on the Spectrum is a 5 on the diversity scale, with its mixture of genders, nationalities, ages, from young adults to Steve, who's in his 50s and was only actually diagnosed a few years ago. Love on the Spectrum is also racially diverse. I really loved Subodh, who comes from an Indian immigrant family, and his parents are worried about supporting him dating because theirs was an arranged marriage.
So you want to have a special friend?
Yes.
And is that someone you would want to hug or kiss too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We come from a different culture, and dating is not something that I grew up with. I have no idea how to help him. So that's been very challenging, and it's difficult for him to find somebody on his own.
Yeah.
I also wonder if some of the dates themselves might not be neurodivergent or somewhere on the spectrum, even if they don't know it themselves. For example, Emma and Solomon stood out to me particularly in that. I'm also giving Love on the Spectrum a 5 in accuracy because I just had to chuckle when Kaylin told an inappropriate fact about birds to her date at dinner.
Disturbing fact about birds, they only have one hole for everything.
Actually?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I'm often doing things like that. It really bugs my mom when I talk about bodily functions and other stuff that's considered not dinner table topics. But I don't understand why it's so inappropriate not to, and how do people get so grossed out by that? I can sit and watch surgery on YouTube while I'm eating supper, and I'm not fazed by it. I really love eating with my friends who work in the medical field precisely for that reason, because they're not so easily grossed out by those things. Love on the Spectrum is certainly a very thought-provoking show, as it encourages you to combat your stereotypical perceptions and be more open-minded and curious. If you don't know something, ask questions and learn. It shows the participants as unique individuals beyond their diagnoses, charming, witty, caring, emotional individuals, not just their diagnosis. Everyone needs support in one area or another. There is no shame. We all can function a lot better when we have loving family, friends, and even therapists who can help us get the best out of life and be the most successful. And that's why Love on the Spectrum ranks a 5 on the thought-provoking scale, and why I'm looking forward to watching season 2 this year. Overall, I rate Love on the Spectrum a 3 because I'm not a huge fan personally of reality TV and feel like this makes us a bit too much into entertainment. But I do appreciate how it shows us as unique, caring, romantic individuals, and just because we might express ourselves differently and experience the world differently doesn't mean that we can't be good partners, good mothers, good friends, good parents. There's a lot that we have to offer, and if you're just curious, then come get to know us. Our way of expressing our feelings may be different, but it's no less valid, and certainly we do have a number of positive qualities that we can offer partners. Have you watched Love on the Spectrum? Have you watched Love on the Spectrum, or would you like to be a part of a similar show? Let me know down in the comments. I think my favorite participant was Steve. His joy and zest for life was just so contagious and made me smile, and I just wanted to hug him like a grandfather, and I would totally be friends with him. His voice is mesmerizing, beautiful, melodic, like a radio show host. And Kaylin, I would really love to meet her one day because she's the one that was most like me, the one I identified with most. I certainly would be friends with all of the participants in this show, and I enjoy following several of them on TikTok and YouTube. To finish up, I want to invite you to a frog kissing party sponsored by Frogance Incorporated, the company I invented as a joke during my media internship.
You're invited to a frog kissing ceremony. Think princes are hard to find? Can't guarantee that they will fall in love with you? No worries, we could supply you with the finest. He might not look like a prince at first, but just kiss him and he'll be hopping quickly to your every whim. We even provide mouthwash and sanitizer wipes if you're germophobic. Frogance Incorporated. become an instant princess, daughter of Lord of Flies.
So what are you looking for in a partner? Let me know down in the comments. And thanks for watching. Click here to see my latest review. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to not miss a single recommendation. And of course, comment what you would like to see me review next.